Welcome back to the Gladiator Journey channel to check out episode 3 in our continued search for Bigfoot series. This episode focuses on two locations, Mohican State Park and Wayne National Forest. Mohican State Park's 1,110 acres fall entirely within Ashland County in the state of Ohio. My efforts this trip would be focused on the area of Campground B, which is just west of the main entrance and main camping area of the state park. This is also the location of one of the last two sightings within the park boundaries. I wanted to take a moment and talk a little about the channel and about me. I started this channel in spring of 2022. Now, my original idea was that the channel would focus primarily on camping and off-roading, but winters in Ohio presenting not the most comfortable camping weather, I decided to switch gears a little and visit another passion of mine, Bigfoot. Now, every year, a portion of my spring and summer, usually comprising at least 1 to 2 months, is spent on the road, making a trek westward to visit many of the states out west, but primarily focusing on the Pacific Northwest. Bigfoot lore has been a passion of mine since I was a kid. And now that I'm a big kid and love to explore, why not use these camping trips in my travels to search for the big guy and be able to bring you all along with me for the adventure? I would like to thank everyone who has subscribed to the channel so far and left me likes on the videos that they have found entertaining. I do have a Patreon link in my YouTube banner, but I really have not started to push that yet because I don't feel like I have anything of value to bring to folks. Once I have figured out exactly what I want to deliver to my Patreon contributors, whether it's GPS data for the trips, special episodes, early access to videos, or whatever I think will bring value, I will promote the Patreon link a little more. But until then, I would just like to create content that keeps everyone entertained. Or at the very least, brings them information they may not have known otherwise. On to today's episode. Mohican State Park's 1,110 acres fall entirely within Ohio's Ashland County. On the BFRO website, or for those unfamiliar, the Bigfoot Field Research Organization's website, Ashland County is the source of 9 Bigfoot sightings dating all the way back to 1943. The man who was the source of the 1943 report decided to keep his encounter under wraps and made his report in 2002. The reason for that was because he grew up to be a prominent attorney in Summit County, Ohio, and did not want to make a report that might follow him and negatively impact his career. I decided to start at night. At this time of year, it's this dark by 5:30 p.m., and most of the sightings that have happened here prior have been between 4 p.m. and 9 p.m. So I figured I was right about in the correct time frame. I checked around the bank of the river, this is the Mohican River, see if I could find any type of footprints that looked like they would be barefoot. With a lot of leaf cover and very little actual mud to look at that wasn't covered by foliage or leaves, I was at a bit of a loss. Finding nothing here, I decided to shut my light off to get my night sight back and make my way back to my truck. And I did hear 2 thuds. It sounded like a large rock and then a splash. I'm guessing that was simply a rock that broke loose, rolled down the hill, and splashed into the river. So I did one more check, but found nothing. So in the middle of Mohican, and so far not hearing any activity. So I'm going to keep at it for a bit and see if anything pops up that I might be able to hear, that I might be able to whip the camera on really quick and see what we got going. Otherwise, I might try a different spot. Just heard something along the side of the road here, and it turned out to be deer. They ran back inside the woods right above here. That was a pretty cool experience, actually. After hearing the sound, I turned my light towards the sound and ended up being a family of about 5 deer. And as I made my way to the end of the lot and turned around, I could see the glow from their eyes as they stared back at me and watched me as I made my way out of the parking lot and up to the road. From Mohican, I would be heading south, almost directly south, to my next stop in Wayne National Forest. When I made my way to Wayne, I would concentrate my search efforts around an area known as Tinker's Cave. Most folks probably don't realize just how large Wayne National Forest is, but think about it in this respect. Mohican State Park is 1,110 acres, while Wayne National Forest is nearly 135,000 acres. This drive would take me just a little over an hour, but take me through some of Ohio's beautiful small towns and villages. To give you a little background on Wayne National Forest and its nearly 135,000 acres, that national forest has 2 ranger districts, both Athens and Marietta. The Athens unit covers Athens County, Hocking County, Morgan County, Perry County, and Vinton County, and includes 67,224 acres, while the Marietta unit, which is located in Monroe, covers Monroe County, Noble County, and Washington County, and includes 63,381 acres, over half of that total being in Washington County. If you have taken the Buckeye Trail through this portion of Wayne National Forest, then you have traveled pretty close to the road I'm on right now. It is in some parts parallel to and not more than a mile or 2 from the portion of the Buckeye Trail that cuts through this part of the forest. Recent rain made some of our trip a little wet and definitely very muddy. I could not believe the amount of mud and even small rocks that stuck to my fenders like glue by the time we were out of this place and hit the car wash. This route goes through some unpaved and paved portions of the roadway. I try to look at everything through as an objective of a lens as possible, so I have to point out that a lack of a body and a lack of bones are a huge factor in why so many people do not believe in the existence of this creature. The other side to that argument, of course, being that any population of these animals would probably be so small that along with the species density and dispersal, we may actually find it very difficult to find bones or a body. And for those who say we should be able to find and dig up Bigfoot bones if we can find and dig up dinosaur bones, well, probably aren't considering the fact that most of those dinosaur bones are buried under layers of sediment following a mass extinction event, very protected, whereas any bones that might pop up nowadays are probably going to be parted out or even scattered by scavengers and predators. We stopped at a swampy area here to do some calls. Unfortunately, they were not answered. So we packed up our things, figured out how to get the Gladiator turned around in this muddy nastiness, and made our way up a little higher into the forest for some nighttime runs.
Oh, I saw a tail light. You see that? There's something reflective directly through. Turn your phone off.
We made our way through some thick foliage and actually thorny brush and found what looked like a small killing field with bones and remains from what looked like a number of deer. What was odd about the positioning of this deer was it almost looked as if the tree was used to break its neck. Not long after this, we heard something up the ridge, so we hopped in the truck and made our way uphill.
Hello.
One more point I'd like to make about bones is that, yes, while it's true that nobody has found bones or a body, and that's a huge obstacle for legitimizing an active search for a species, other species thought to have been non-existent for millions of years, the coelacanth for instance, which is a fish that scientists thought went extinct 65 million years ago with the dinosaurs. And lo and behold, in the 1930s, and again I believe in the 80s or 90s, these 200-pound fish were caught, both in Indonesia and off the coast of South Africa. How could something thought to be extinct for 65 million years suddenly present itself? Now, while it wasn't a Bigfoot, we did find something odd in this next clip coming up. Something that moves out of the woods on the left and across the path of our vehicle, and as soon as I turn my bright lights on, it seems to disappear. Watch carefully. You missed it, didn't you? Watch again in reverse slow motion. And watch this area in the red circle as we move forward. I'm guessing it was probably just an owl or some other bird. Just a little strange that it seemed to disappear when I hit my brights. While it may be true that we do not have bones or a body as evidence, what about the other pieces of evidence we do have? There are a number of bare footprint castings that have been collected over the years. While some can be discounted as hoaxes pretty quickly, there are a number that are discovered by people who have nothing to gain and people who are not Bigfoot enthusiasts in the least. Video and audio footage are much the same. Some can be discounted as hoaxes or figured out pretty easily. I mean, I can't tell you the number of times I've seen video and immediately thought, that's a dude in a suit. Sometimes the footage we get is grainy or shaky, and that can be one way to conceal the reality if it is a hoax, but it can also be very believable if somebody is surprised and pulls a camera out quickly to try and capture an image. As we approached the end of the road, we came upon some private property signage, so I'm pretty sure I could continue down the road since I'm sure it's an easement, but I didn't want to ruffle any feathers, so we stopped at the private property sign and decided to just turn around and head back in the other direction. Better to keep everyone happy than ruffle any feathers. I will be putting both Mohican and Wayne National Forest on my list of places for overnight camping for the next hunt or for an upcoming hunt, but the weather's got to be a little better than 5 degrees. Thank you all very much for tuning in. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet, and shoot me a like if you liked this video. As we get into spring, I will look forward to taking you all with me on my trip westward, and I'm sure there will be plenty of camping for video content, along with some modifications I'll be making to the Gladiator and some off-road adventures as well. Take care and have a very squatchy Christmas.